Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, you're right now calling it to me, Ringdalen, and I'm just done being at the radio in NRK. I can't believe it, it's so fun. It's always so fun to be on there. Going to be on there on Friday too, and I just can't wait. It's such an honor. It's such an honor to be able to go on the radio, talk about my passion, and that's a big thanks to all of you. So thank you very much for being on the channel, for making this possible. I love you all very much. Now, something I want to talk about today, something that I kind of wanted to discuss on the radio and most likely will at some point, because I want to kind of explain something about Eurovision and me and how I get excited about Eurovision. So for me, the Eurovision Song Contest is kind of like the one contest a year where all kinds of politics, all kinds of world issues, everything like that is pushed aside for 1 week, or all those months it's going on, but that 1 week in particular where people support different countries that they maybe don't support the rest of the year. The world currently, there's so much going on, so much things are so horrible. So you need things like this to actually be able to get people together, make people have, open dialogues, and make actually, an effort to actually not just understand each other, but also be able to have some way of expressing yourself. So the Eurovision Song Contest for me has never really been about countries. I have never really gone into it thinking I'm gonna support Norway, except for 1 year. Because that's not how I'm feeling about Eurovision. For me, Eurovision is all about the songs, the acts, the artists, and not necessarily about the country. That's why, for example, Croatia this year is one of my last places, and last year it was my second place. It was the best show overall, in my opinion. And that's because it doesn't really is determined by the country.
For the miracle that I'm talking of, it's the life that we're giving.
Of course, there's a certain bias maybe towards certain countries because of their music scene, but I think that's one of the cool things about Eurovision, really showcasing all kinds of music, which means that in theory you can have a different favorite every single year. Or you can, for example, if you are a huge metal or rock fan, you might, for example, have had Finland as your favorite from, let's say, 2006 to 2009. Maybe that was your favorite then. And then maybe you went on to not really like Finland when they did other things, which is completely fine. So it's the thing for me is that the Eurovision Song Contest is about so much more than the countries, so much more than just what countries you're like allies with or something like that. That doesn't matter to me. Yes, I often have Sweden high up on my rankings, and I love Sweden, but it's not that I have it up there because it's Sweden. It's because it's actually songs I really like, and they have a different selection process, which is really good at getting the best kind of songs. So I just want to talk about that because, for example, now with Norway, I just want to tell that story, is that back in 2009, for example, when Norway won with Alexander Rybak's Fairy Tale, I was a fan of the song, but I'm not sure if he was in my top 5 that year. So I was disappointed that, for example, Finland and Azerbaijan didn't end up winning. So I was disappointed in him winning, but I still were happy for Norway. It's kind of like the same thing also with, for example, Portugal. I think Portugal last year had a brilliant song, but it wasn't one of my favorites, but I was happy that it won. So you can, of course, be like happy that certain countries win. So going into Eurovision, I need to be excited about certain songs. I need to be really passionate about certain songs for me to get invested. That's why certain years I haven't been invested in Eurovision. Still watched it, still found songs I enjoy, but I always need to have at least one song to invest in. This year I have 4 songs I can invest in, which are Switzerland, Germany, Denmark and Hungary. Last year I had 1 song to invest in, which was Norway, and the year before I had 1 song I was really invested in with Belgium. And the year before that again, I had 1 song I was invested in with Sweden. So I need to be really invested. There can be years where I think that there's a lot of epic music, a lot of great songs, but if I'm not invested, then I'm not really invested in the contest. So I'm still watching it, still having fun doing it, but I need to have something to be invested in for me to really get into Eurovision. That's why I've been very lucky the past couple of years, and why I'm always really looking for that song to be invested in, because I know if I'm not, then I'm not going to be as excited for Eurovision, and I want to be, because it's my biggest passion in life. And I have many close friends who are actually saying that they're actually struggling right now with this year's selection. For example, one of the hippest, Kais, has said that he hasn't really found a song yet that he is really into, so he isn't that excited about Eurovision. And this is someone who lives and breathes the Eurovision Song Contest. So that's just my stand. I love the fact that there's a huge support now in, for example, the Norwegian community, where people are crazy about Norway. But I think it has gone a bit far. It's like the whole focus is on Norway winning. It isn't about Norway sending the best song or voting for the best song, it seems like, for those hardcore Eurovision fans in certain communities. It's more like we have to win, and that's the only thing good enough. And not everyone is like that. It's like a vocal minority in a way. But still, there is this thing around the media where it's big focus on Alexander Rybak is winning, instead of it's going to be fun to see Alexander Rybak competing against all these songs, uniting at this music festival, and maybe we'll get a good spot. I don't think the spot is the most important thing. I think the most important thing is sending something you're proud of. That's why I don't think it's an issue, for example, with Icebreaker, that it didn't make it through. We still sent what Norway thought was the best, and I think that that's the most important thing. I'd rather have all countries send songs they are really passionate about than having countries send things for winning the contest. It's completely fine to do that too and want to send the best possible song to win the contest, but I really hope that also the country is behind it. So that's something that's important to me. I just wanted to talk about that a bit because I just want to make that a bit clear. That's why Norway has only been my favorite once in the Eurovision, and that was last year. This year they're not in my top 10, not top 15, maybe somewhere in my top 20, I'm not sure. But that's just how it is, and that doesn't mean I don't want to see Norway succeed. It's just that if they succeed, I will still be disappointed that so many of my favorites didn't win. And that's just how it is for me personally when it comes to Eurovision. But how is it for you? Is that the most important thing for you, seeing what the other countries send? Or are you more into the songs, and the song is what matters the most? There are no wrong answers because Eurovision is for everybody. So please let me know. I wish you all a fantastic day. I hope you will have a fantastic semi-final one evening if you're watching this when this comes out, or a semi-final 2 evening if you're watching this when that is about to happen, or a fantastic final, or a fantastic post-Eurovision Song Contest season. As always, have a great day, a great life, and please remember to take care. You are all fantastic.